Hey everyone, it's your favorite Stitch Witch, Mistress of Chaos and Destruction. I'm here to help y'all. I've had a few times it's been asked about installing turn locks. I do have a pattern coming up in a few rounds that will have a turn lock required, especially because so many of these custom hardware groups are using these really cool shaped ones. So I want to do a little tutorial to show y'all the easiest way to install a turn lock. First off, let's go over the supplies. I will first do the basic, easy, shaped, custom, shaped ones, and then I will do the custom ones. All right, so first things first, supplies. All right, so first you'll need your, whatever you are putting the turn lock on, whether it's vinyl or whatever, have it prepped, ready to go, so your interfacing's on it. If you have fleece backing or heavy interfacing or whatever, make sure it's all ready to go. I'm just using a basic one so I'm not wasting my stuffs. All right, then you will need some sort of hole puncher, regular old hole puncher, whatever you all use to install your rivets, whatnot. This is what I use. Mine's a little dull. I definitely need to change out my little pad. Next you need mallet. Great tool for when you are really frustrated. Install all your turn locks at once when you're in a bad mood, because all of the slamming is way better than slamming someone's face into a wall. Key tip. All right, next we need our little snippy snips. I always have a little one over here. Next, something to mark. I'm going to use a marker just so that y'all can really see it, but usually I use something like this. This one's from More Me Know. It's become my favorite one because it shows up on dark also. It's the silver. And then last but not least, little punch kit. You don't have to have this, but it makes it so much easier. It's like less than $10 for like 48 pieces. Got it on Amazon. I know I hate supporting Bezos. If one of my favorite custom hardware groups can like find these and sell them instead of me having to support Amazon, let me know and I will tag you instead, because so much better. But anyway, I find this to be a necessity. When you take them out, you'll see there's all different shapes and sizes, and they have a sharp edge, which you could tell because it's kind of silvered versus the other edge is dull. That's the same color. All right. Oh, and of course, whatever pattern you're using. So let's start off with this. I'll start with, pretend this is just my exterior, or like we will, yeah. Boop, 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 boop. We are doing this before we sew our things together. So if you're sewing an exterior and a lining together, you're doing this just on your exterior. If it's something that, like on the pattern I have over here, where you fold it over and it has like a top part to it, do it unfolded. So this is before you sew, okay? So I take this, pretend this is my whole piece that I've already cut out, and I would be lining it up with my piece, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you can see that this pattern, try to lower it so you can see it. This pattern has a cutout. Now, not every turn lock is going to be the size that the pattern maker drew the cutout. It's just supposed to be a guide. It is not exactly where you're going to be doing. So I always put a little dot in the center of that turn lock thing so I know where it's supposed to be. Maybe I'll do little lines on the curves just so I know where they expect it to be. So it ends up looking a little like that. But then I take my actual turn lock. This one is the basic one I'm using because it has a very basic opening. That's what I mean by basic, is the opening is just one regular shape. It's not all wonky like you'll see soon. Take your back piece and you're going to lay it just flat down, centering the cutout. I don't have to rush this. I did one on TikTok and I had a rush. Centering the cutout with the center of there. All right? Then you are going to draw that cutout on the wrong side again, on the wrong side of your exterior. And then you'll see two little holes, or maybe three little holes. That's where the screw bases go into. So you're going to want to mark those also, right? So you're going to go through your kit and find the punch that closest most closely resembles your thing. See, that one closely resembles. We are going to then take our mallet and, sorry for knocking the camera off, I will adjust it. Woo, there we go. So we've just knocked it out. Then I usually turn it around to finish, or you can just do what I'm doing right here and use my snippy snips and trim out the rest. Next, you take your hole punch. You're going to want to select one that is the same, here it is, the same size as the holes themselves. So you could take the hole and be like, or a little bit bigger, so that you can make sure those posts will go through it. So for me, it's that one. Then I just punch these holes. This is not an easy vinyl for me to be using. Doesn't punch very easily, and as I said, my punch is very dull. It would help if I had a sharp punch. So I'm just going to snip. And I'm going to show you. It's okay if you snip straight into that, because it's all kind of being put into there, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so we've now snipped. You take the front and you just push it through to make sure everything lines up. Once you make sure it all lines up and it's all perfect, then you're good. Go and sew the pieces together so that eventually, after everything, pretend I've sewn it all. It would now look like this. So this would be my exterior, and this that you're peeking through is the wrong side of my lining. Obviously, we can't put this through because there's no hole there. You just repeat that process and use this as the template. The reason I do it like this is A, it's easier to cut through one at a time with these. B, this way you're drawing, and if you make any mistakes or whatever, you're drawing on the wrong side, you're not going to see it. So you're not going to have this and then see like lines and marker and whatever all over that you fucked up. So we do it like this. So we're just going to go, we punch again, we do the hole, then this will fit in nice and perfectly. Put that there. You'll put the back on, everything will line up perfect, screw it on, all done. If you ever do this and say you're using fleece, and sometimes fleece is like all over the place, and you see some of the fleece sticking out, you just take your snippy snip and snip away some of the fleece or extra interfacing out. That's it. And usually your fleece or interfacing is on the exterior, so you do that before you even sew up the piece. All right, so that's how you do that. Now you're saying, Meg, there are all these cool new wonky shaped, fandom shaped, whatever shaped turn locks that everyone's showing. All my favorite custom hardware groups are having. How do I do that? You're not going to have a face hugger shape in this little kit. Oh, but you do. All you have to do is find one similar in size. Size matters in this aspect. All right, so I'll show you. Same as before. Mark, as I fling stuff, mark a little bit of what the pattern showed. So your center and the edges. Then you take your little thing, put it down. Now remember, something like this, it's not like before where it only had, it's one shape, so it doesn't matter which way you're doing it. You want to make sure you're doing it the correct side, because you want this to be up. So make sure, see, that would have been upside down. Make sure you are doing it the right way. So for this one, we want the 1 dot and the 2 dots down, so that way it's facing the right way. If this was the bottom, I'd have it flipped like this, because you're going like this. So just always make sure you have it facing the right way. I'm going to stress that over and over. Make sure before you start that you have it faced the right way, because these are wonky shaped. So there's not as much room for error. All right, so now that we have established all that, we've marked our center. So just like before, We're going to find the center and line it up. I'm going to put this down. Hopefully you can see this. And we are going to, and I will show you, we are going to trace the shape of the inside, mark the screws, so 2 holes, 3 holes, or whatever. And for this one, we are going to mark the exterior of the turn lock. So we have the cutout, the exterior, and the 3. I'll show you why we do the exterior in a second. Okay? So, as I said, you're not going to have one that's the exact, but you find one that is close. So you can see how close this is. I just have a little bit here sticking up, a little bit, actually nothing on the bottom, so just a little bit there sticking up. Okay, so we cut this again in advance. Sorry for my camera jumping. I will adjust it after I cut this. Just lining this up so it cuts perfect. All right, trim that extra. All right, whoop. I'm back. All right, so you can see almost all of that weird shape has been trimmed out except for this right here. So you just take your little snippy snip, and you don't have to trim right on, as long as you're staying inside where the circle is. And that was the whole point of the circle, is to make sure you don't trim past it, because if you trim past it, then it'll show up past your turn lock. You've got to stay within that. So just trim a little bit extra. And again, if you have fleece or whatever that's sticking out, trim that. A little punchy punch. Punchy, punchy, punch, punch. And again, this helps you with having that circle outline drawn, so you know you're not punching past where you're supposed to. All right, so now it's all cut out, and we can see it all fits perfect. There we go. See? Perfect. So there's no gaps. It all lies nicely. There's nothing sticking out. If you see from the end, so here, you see this little piece that's kind of sticking? So if it's sticking out and making it hard to close, trim it. But you want all of your screws, holes to be pushed through so that it's easy to screw together. You want everything to be able to push through all the way. Once you ensure that everything pushes through all the way with nothing being visible, you go ahead just like before, sew it up, and then trim the rest. Hope that helps you, and you're going to do it the same way again, using this, trim out extra, but you know where your base is, so you're not going to mess that up, and it'll be perfect. And when you're all done, you will have a pretty little turn lock with nothing showing up around it. All right, hope that helps, y'all. See you later.